Namo Buddhaya. Welcome everyone to another video. Today, let's talk about something that is really important for all of our lives. Now, if you want to be good at anything that you want to be good at, let's say if you're studying or if you're meditating or if you are someone who is practicing the spiritual path, what is that one quality that you have to have in your life to be a master of it? If you're studying, what is that one quality that you have to have in your life to be a master? That is called consistency. Have you ever thought about why we are so good at bad habits or bad things? Bad things like anger, getting angry all the time, or feeling jealousy all the time, or bad things like procrastination or laziness. Why we are so good at these things? We are so good at these things because we have done it over a long period of time continuously, right? If you start getting angry or if you start losing your temper again and again every single day, what will happen? You will be good at it, okay? If you are procrastinating the things that you want to do, then you will be a good procrastinator. So one main important quality to be good at anything in this life or to have a habit to our life is consistency. That is why we are so good at bad things. So we can use this theory or this consistency for our own benefit, right? If you're someone who is studying, right, you have to do it every single day, again and again, repeatedly, even in the days where you don't feel like doing it, because that is the hardest part and that is the most important part. When you feel like not doing it, but if you keep doing it, if you keep moving forward, if you keep going through it, then you will be able to make a good habit of it. And once you become good at it, or once you make a habit in it, then it will be so easy for you. So that is why our great teacher, Supreme Buddha, said that when you practice the spiritual path, right, when you practice meditations, do it again and again and again. Do not do it like here and there, once in a week, once in a blue moon. When you do that, and when you expect more results, you will never get it. So that is why Buddha said, Mettaya bhikkhave cheto vimuktya asevitaya bhavitaya bahuli kathaya. Buddha said, when you practice the mind of loving kindness, this is about practicing the loving kindness meditation and mind of loving kindness. Asevitaya bhavitaya bahuli kathaya. That means you have to use that mind of loving kindness. You have to do it again and again, consistently, bahuli kathaya. Use it again and again. When you do that, you will be good at it. And the loving kindness or the love or the patience or the compassion will be a part of your life. Okay? So when you meditate, when you practice spiritual practice, or if you're studying, or if you're in a profession, if you are developing a skill, then what is the most important thing to have in your life to be good at it? The consistency. So do it on the days that you don't feel like doing it also, right? When you do that, when you move forward through it, then you will be a master of it. But here's the most important thing that you have to have. Do not judge your progress in your life, right? We are so busy to have quick progress, quick results, because we are used to this instant world, right? We live in an instant world, right? We can find everything we want in our mobile phone, right? If you want to Google something, instantly you get the results. So we are used to this instant world. But when it comes to the spiritual practice, when it comes to the soft skills or developing the skills that you want, it is not that easy and it is not that instant. You have to do it little by little, and you have to expect little progress from one session. So do not judge your progress. Do not judge your improvements. The most important thing is to do it every single day. Keep moving, and then you will be a master of anything that you want to be a master of. Okay, so I hope you got some idea about the consistency and the value of it. So keep practicing and keep doing these things. So I wish you all, may all of you be well and happy, and may all of you live in peace forever. Namo Buddhaya. Namo Buddhaya. Welcome everyone to another video. Today, let's talk about how can we apply the meditation to a busy life. Now, I know most of you have a very, very busy life and you have a tight schedule, okay? Now, but in the same time, you want to meditate. So that's where you find the problem, right? You have a busy life and you're worried about it. You have a distracted mind, and we all get distracted when we have a busy life, but we all need to meditate. But there's a problem. What is that? How can we apply the meditation to this busy schedule, right? It is very difficult. So many people complain to us that I cannot meditate because I'm very, very busy. I have a lot of things to be done. I have a lot of responsibilities. How can I deal with it? Well, this depends on how you look at the meditation, right? Now, when we imagine the word meditation, what is the picture that we imagine? We imagine a person sitting in a quiet and a comfortable place, and he's closing his eyes with his legs crossed, right? And he's doing meditation, okay? But meditation is not only that sitting meditation. It is also a part of meditation, but it is not the meditation, okay? Meditation is more easy and more practical than you think. So today I'm going to introduce you to a little practice that you can practice in your busy schedule while you're having a lot of responsibilities and while you're being busy, and you can do this meditation. This is all about mindfulness. Now, should we sit in a quiet place to be mindful? No, okay? To be mindful, you can be in a whatever posture, do whatever you want to do, and you can still be mindful. That is the beauty of this practice, the mindful practice, okay? Now, let's say you're having a busy schedule and you don't have the time to sit and meditate. So, what we have to do is we can choose something that we do daily, right? Let's say almost every one of you have 2 meals per day, at least 2 meals per day. Okay, let's take breakfast. Let's say you're having your breakfast. Okay, normally in an average day, what do you do when you're having breakfast? Sometimes you read a newspaper. Sometimes you watch TV. Sometimes you scroll through social media. Sometimes you use the mobile. Sometimes you call to some friends. Okay, instead of doing all those things, okay, instead of distracting yourself while eating, while having your breakfast, why can't you be mindful about having the breakfast, about the action of eating? Okay, so that is the beauty of mindfulness. Mindfulness can be applied to every action in our daily life. No matter where we do it, no matter what we do it, no matter when we do it, we can apply mindfulness to our daily life. So let's say you're having a breakfast, okay? Just set aside all the distractions, your TV, maybe your mobile phone, your newspaper. You just focus on the taste. Okay, if you're eating from your hand, or if you're eating from your spoon or a fork, doesn't matter. You just feel the taste. When you place the food inside your mouth, you start to feel this taste. What we can do is just bring our mind to that sensation, to what we feel. Okay, and do this from one by one. Okay, one step at a time. Let's say you took one bite at a time, and you become mindful about it. You feel the taste, okay? Because most of the time, when we are eating, we are not aware of this taste, right? Our mind runs here and there, runs and catch into one and other thoughts, and it becomes distracted. So what we can do is we can bring our mind back to this taste and this sensation that we feel in the present moment. When you eat, you feel the taste in the present moment. Once you feel it, once you identify it, and once you focus your mind to it, that is what you call mindfulness. That is what you call meditation. Okay? So this is a simple practice. Every day, choose one meal, maybe lunch, maybe dinner, maybe breakfast. Choose one meal and focus on just eating. Okay? Eat while you eat. Don't use the mobile phone while you eat. Don't watch TV while you eat. Don't use other distractions while you're eating. Because when we distract ourselves, right, we miss a chance to practice the meditation in a daily life. One day, one lady came up to me, and when we were discussing, I asked from her, do you meditate? Then she said, no, I don't have time to meditate. Then I introduced this little practice of mindful eating to her. Then you cannot complain that you don't have time to meditate. Remember, meditation is everywhere. You can do it whenever you want, wherever you want. Okay? So add this little practice of mindful eating to your life, and then you don't have to worry about not having the time to meditate, because being mindful is meditation. Just keep that in your mind. Namo Buddhaya. Namo Buddhaya. Welcome to another video. Today, I'm going to answer a question from the comment section. Now, a couple of weeks ago, I came across this comment asking, how can we make correct decisions in our life? How can we make correct choices in our life? Well, to learn about this, let's take a look at a sutta from the Buddha's teachings. Okay, there's a sutta named Ambalattika Rahulovada Sutta. In that sutta, Buddha advises monk Rahula. Buddha asks from monk Rahula, Rahula, what do you think about this? What is the purpose of the mirror? Then monk Rahula says, the purpose of the mirror is to check our reflection, sir. Then the Buddha says, same like that, whenever you are going to do anything from your body, from your mind, from your words, you have to do it after repeatedly checking on it. Okay, you have to be mindful and you have to think about it, you have to check it, and then after that you have to do it. Then in that sutta, Buddha further explains how to repeatedly check our actions. Buddha says, whenever you are going to do anything from your body, let's say you are going to do something from your body, okay? Then you have to think like this. Buddha says, is this deed that I'm going to do now hurts myself? Is it going to hurt myself? Or is it going to hurt others, other people around me? And the Buddha says, you have to think that is it going to hurt both of us, for me and for the others? Okay? And then the Buddha says that you have to think that is it a skillful thing, or a good thing, or a wholesome thing, or an unwholesome thing? Does it give happiness to my life? Does it bring happiness and mental serenity and calmness to my life? Then the Buddha says that if you find that action that you're going to do is unskillful and it hurts for yourself and to the others, and it is unskillful and it brings suffering to your life, then you should, by all means, you should not do it. Okay? So that is a bad choice. That means that you are going to make a bad choice. Okay? Then the Buddha says, if you find the action that you're going to perform in your life, okay, if you're going to perform an action which is good, which brings the happiness to your life, which makes the happiness and which benefits for you and for the others and both of you, if it is skillful, then by all means you have to do it. Now, what does Buddha means in this advice? Buddha says that means you have to, before you are going to do anything from your body, from your mind, from your words, you have to be mindful. You have to think, what am I going to do now? Right? Is it good or bad? Is it wholesome or unwholesome? You have to think about the consequences of your choices. If you're aware of the consequences of your choices, then you will make good choices. Okay? Most of the time, the reason why we are making bad decisions and bad choices is we are not aware of the consequences of that action. And we are not mindful about what we are doing now. So, in your life, before taking any decision, just pause, take a rest, and pause and think, hey, what I'm going to do now, is it beneficial for myself? And is it beneficial for others? Okay? And does it hurt myself? Does it hurt others? Okay? When you think about that, you can make correct decisions. Okay? And you have to be brave enough to choose the harder path, difficult path, because making correct decisions and doing good things is not an easy task. It is always difficult. Although it is difficult, if you practice it, if you constantly do it, no matter what happens, you can bring the happiness to your life. So the best thing to do to make correct decision is to pause first, okay, and think about it, repeatedly check on it, and be mindful, and consider whether it is going to be beneficial for my life or to the others, and then make correct decisions. That is how we make good choices and correct decisions in our life. So that is what I have to share in this video. So I wish you all, may all of you be happy and safe forever. Namo Buddhaya. Namo Buddhaya. Welcome and welcome back to another video. In today's video, I will be answering a question from comments. So one of our viewers have asked from us that he has mentioned, my exams are near, especially final exams. I am totally stressed and I'm tensed. So I feel like not doing anything. Please help me. And the question ended with a sad emoji mark. So I'm extremely passionate about answering these kinds of questions. So in this video, I will be sharing with you some tips and things that you can practice in your daily life to overcome this exam stress and also the stress in any kind of challenges. Okay, so here's the thing. First of all, you have to remember that not only exams makes us fear or stressed. Almost all the challenges that we face in our life, when we face them, we feel stressed and we feel depressed. Okay, we feel the fear. So fear and the stress and this that feeling, that the tense feeling that is inside your mind, is a common human reaction. That means you are not alone in this world. Everyone, including myself, and everyone feels this. Okay, everyone feels that. So you're not alone. So the first thing that you have to understand is what is in your control and what is not. Okay, so let me ask you a question from you. Is the questions that you face in the exam paper, the questions that you get in the exam paper, is it under your control? No, they're not. Okay, you don't know what you're going to face, but one thing that you know is you will be getting one of the questions from the things that you have been taught. Okay, that is for sure, you will get that. So the questions that we get is totally not under our control. How the examiners make the question is not under your control. So if something is not under your control, is it worth worrying about? If you have no anything to do about that, right? If you cannot do anything to change it, no, you don't want to worry about that, because why we should worry about the things that we cannot control or we cannot change? So that is the thing. The exam questions are not under your control. Understand it, first of all. And the next step, what is in your control? Exactly the process, getting ready for the exam, studying, and the amount of hours that you study, and the techniques that you use to study, okay? And how productive you become is totally under your control, okay? So you can do something about that. So if you can change something, if you can do something about that, should you worry about that? You don't want to worry about that because it is totally under your control, okay? That is one thing. And the next thing that you have to do is to try to be in this present moment. Because in the times of exams, we are so focused on maybe like in the future or to the past. Sometimes if we haven't done anything, like if we haven't studied, what happens with us is we constantly regret about the things that you have done in past, okay? And if you're stressed about the exams, what will be happening in the exam, then you're constantly regretting or thinking about the future. We hardly stay in this present moment. So what we can do is we can train our mind to stay in this present moment, because you only own this moment, not the past, not the future, but the present, okay? So do some meditations, do some mindful exercises to be present, to stay in this moment and make a good choice to study, to make a change in your life. That is one thing that you can do. And the another thing that you can do is to get used to this thinking of impermanence, thinking about impermanence, okay? In Buddhism, it gives a huge space to talk about and think about and reflect about the impermanence, okay? Whatever feeling that you feel now, maybe stress, maybe depression, maybe anxiety, maybe happiness, whatever the feeling that you feel, let it be good or bad, it is impermanent. It is going to change. So for sure, your exam stress, right, how you feel about exam is also going to change over the time. So you don't want to worry about that, okay? That is one thing that you can do to focus your mind on impermanence. And the other thing that you can do is to be the best that you can be. Not to be the best in the class, maybe in the school, or maybe in this university, not to be the best, but to be the best version of yourself, okay? If you try to be the best version of yourself, you try your best to do it. You give your best to do it. You give your fullest potential to do it, okay? So there's another problem that comes in here, okay? Our parents have lots of expectations about us. Even that makes us a little bit stressed. So what we can do? This is one thing that I give as an advice for all the students if they have those kinds of problems. You have to maintain a good communication with your parents, okay? Go to your parents and say, Amma or Tata or Mama or Dada, maybe I cannot be the best in the school. Maybe I cannot take the fullest marks in the exam. Maybe I cannot be the best in the university or somewhere else, but I will try my best in the exam. I will give my fullest potential to study and to be good at exams, okay? So when you do that, your parents will understand about you, okay? That is one thing that you can do. And finally, this is one thing that you have to do and you must do during these exam times. Be kind to yourself. Take care of yourself. Sometimes some children, they try harder by not sleeping and spending sleepless nights and not having proper healthy foods and not having proper nutrition while they're studying. That will not help you to be productive, okay? So you must study as well as you must maintain a good health, because that will help you to maintain a good mental balance. Okay, so be kind to yourself. Okay, if mistakes can happen from anyone, okay, you can make mistakes in your life, okay, but you have to forgive yourself. And also you have to remember that exams are not the life. There are so many things that you can do and you have to do beyond the exams. And this is not the only challenge that you're going to face in your life. Okay? So keep these tips in your mind and practice these things. And then face the exam. So I hope you will get some light on this topic. So I wish all the best and all the very best in your exams. Be more productive and live your life happily. Namo Buddhaya.
Imagine you're having a rough day and you're scrolling through social media and you see these nice pictures. People are celebrating their life, having the best days in their life, celebrating and becoming happy. When you see these pictures, what do you feel inside? Sometimes we feel even more stressed and we feel like there's no value in our life. One of the biggest enemies of our happiness is comparing our life with others' lives. There is some sort of jealousy and envy that builds up in our life, in our mind. That is why becoming envious and jealousy and comparing our lives to others is one of the biggest enemies of our happiness. To overcome this, the Buddha introduced a special practice, and that is called mudita. Mudita means appreciative joyfulness. Always remember, when we compare our lives to others, and when you build up that jealousy and envy within yourself, it is not going to help in your success, in your life, right? Sometimes, like we stop in a certain place, okay? We hold on to one emotion and we stay in that envy and jealousy and thinking about other people's lives without making our life successful, without focusing on our life. So the Buddha said, when you see these successful people in the society, when people around you living the best days in their life and your life is not having such experience, always look up to them and think and wish the happiness of them. Okay? That is called appreciative joyfulness. Wish the happiness of beings around you, even though you are going through a tough time. When we see successful people, we should not be jealous at them. It is not going to help us. What we have to do, we have to wish the success on them. When you see someone is having the best days in their life, think of him and say, oh, may he be happy even more. May he have a prosperous and a happy life forever. If you do that, you're not going to give the space for that envy and unhappiness and that negativity in your mind. The more you practice this positive mindset, the more you practice this appreciative joyfulness, you can be happy about yourself, even on the hard days, even though your life is in a tough place. So that is why whenever we see successful people, people having a happy life, we have to wish the happiness of them. That is called mudita. So when we practice this simple Buddhist practice of mudita or appreciative joyfulness, we can be happy about our life and also we can be peaceful within. Namo Buddhaya.
Namo Buddhaya. Welcome to another video. In today's video, let's talk about relationships. And I'm going to be sharing with you 6 principles taught by the Buddha on having a healthy and happy relationship. Well, maintaining a healthy relationship, maintaining a happy relationship or long-lasting relationship is a bit challenging. Why? Because we have different personalities. We are different from one to another, right? But we lose this ability to understand about this situation, this reality. What is the reality? The difference between each other. Sometimes we ask from the people or we ask from our partners, why can't you think like me? Why can't you be like me? Why can't you act like me or behave like me? This is where we make many problems in relationships. But if we can realize the difference between one another, or if we can realize this reality, what is that? We are different from each other. Then we can get the power of understanding. There's one important quality that we must practice in any kind of relationship, and that is the understanding. Right? Understand other situations. Understand why they are acting like that, why they are behaving like that. So, our great teacher Supreme Buddha taught there are 6 principles to practice. These are the practices, actually. If you practice these 6 principles in any kind of relationship, your relationship will be much more happy and healthy. Okay, so without any further ado, let's get into these principles, and I'm going to explain one by one in turn. First of all, the Buddha said, you need to practice these principles when that person, the person or our partner or our companion or the people who we are relating to, when that person with us or in front of us, and also in the times where that person is not with us. That means both privately and publicly, we have to practice and maintain these principles in our life. And also, these principles was taught by the Buddha to monks, actually, because as monks, we live as a community. Now, in our monastery, we have more than 25 monks. So when you analyze their personalities, they all are different. They all have different ways of lifestyles. So when we are interacting, there may be some problems. There may be some crashes. But if you practice these qualities, if we practice these qualities, there will be less problems. There will be less disagreements. So that is why Buddha taught us these principles. So this was originally preached by the Buddha to the monks, actually. And also, you can apply these principles to your life also. So let's get into the first principle. Buddha said, you need to treat your spiritual companions, regarding to monks, actually. Buddha said, you need to treat your companions with physical kindness, bodily kindness. What do you mean by bodily kindness? There are certain things that we can do from our body in order to show our kindness or show our compassion towards that person. It may not be big things like spending money on big things and buying big things to the person, but also there are many things that we can do. There are little things that we can do for that person to create happiness on that person's mind. And also we can give that, by doing these things, we can give that idea that we value your life, that I value your being with me. So Buddha said, do the acts of loving kindness from your body. Maybe like helping in his career, maybe like helping in his household activities. If you take an example, like in a husband and wife relationship, you can share the things that you are doing in the life. We can help each other. That is one way of showing love and kindness to that person. And also we can show in many ways our love and kindness to these people. When you act from your body with love and kindness, that creates the mutuality between people. So the first principle is to treat people with physical kindness. Then Buddha said, as the second principle, treat the companions with verbal kindness. You can speak nice and kind and heartwarming words to them. to create the happiness and create the pleasure in their mind. Each and every one of us likes to listen to pleasant words, right? We all surrenders in front of the kindness, kind words, kind actions. So the first and second thing is to treat them with physical kindness and also with verbal kindness. And as the third principle, Buddha said, this is the most important principle, and that is, treat your companions with mental kindness. This is the important one. Why is that? Because if you maintain, if you generate these kind thoughts towards the people around you, in your mind, your thoughts become your actions. Then your actions will be more kind. Your thoughts become your words, then your words will become more kind. So as the third principle, Buddha taught us, treat your companion with mental kindness. Okay? So when you treat your companion with mental kindness, that means you are spreading this rays and this power of kindness towards them when that person is in front of us, and also in the times where he or she is not with us. We have to do it in the same way. That is the third one. And also as the fourth principle, Buddha said, you have to share without reservation. For the monks, Buddha said, if you get any kind of food or any something good to your life, you have to share that thing with your spiritual companions. Now we monks, when we get some food, we always try to share with our monks. So you can adopt that to your life. Whatever the things that you get, maybe like you had something very delicious food when you're working in a long distance place. And when you come home, or when you come to your partner, or when you come to that person, you can say, hey, I had this food, I had this delicious food. I need you to have that. That means you're sharing it. When you share without reservation, it creates the peacefulness and it strengthens the relationships. So sharing is one of the most key and important ingredients in relationships. And as the fifth principle, Buddha said, you have to be virtuous. What do you mean by virtuous? Now, in Buddhism, as normal people, in Buddhism, we practice 5 precepts. Buddhist people practice 5 precepts: abstaining from killing beings, abstaining from stealing, abstaining from sexual misconduct, abstaining from telling lies, and abstaining from taking intoxicating drinks and drugs or alcohols. So these are the 5 precepts that lay people practice in Buddhism. So when you become more moral or virtuous, it creates the trust in people. Now there's in relationships, in normal relationships, in people, this third precept is very important. In third precept, it simply says you are not cheating your partner. That means it creates the trust and loyalty between the partner and in the relationship. In any kind of relationship, trust is the foundation. Without trust, there is no use of a relationship. So when you become more virtuous, you will create the trust and loyalty in the relationship. And as the sixth and the final principle, Buddha taught us, you have to have a common view in any kind of relationship. That means if you can, in a relationship, if both the people, or if everyone work for one dream, work to achieve one goal, that creates the peace in this relationship. Now, as monks, Buddha said you have to have one dream or one goal in your life. there's only one purpose of becoming a monk, and that is to end the sufferings of this long cycle of rebirth and to be enlightened. When all the monks get together and work for that dream, then that will be so much easy to live with them, right? When someone is deviating from that path, that creates the problem, right? So in relationships also, if every one of us can work for one dream or to achieve one goal, then that will be more easy and more happy. So these are the 6 principles that we must practice in any kind of relationship. You can apply these principles to any kind of relationships, whether it is husband and wife, maybe like girlfriend and boyfriend, whether it is like parents and children, whatever the relationship is, you can apply these principles and make it more healthy and happy. So practice these principles, add them to your life, and make your life a better one. So I'm going to end this video with a nice quote that I've read. It says, "All relationships go through bad times, but the real relationships get through bad times." So practice the principles and make your life a better one. Namo Buddhaya. Namo Buddhaya. Welcome to another video. In today's video, I'm going to introduce you to the most famous Buddhist text in this world. Now, if you are new to Buddhism and if you'd like to learn more about Buddhism, this is one of the best books that you can read. So, the book's name is Dhammapada. Now, what is Dhammapada? Dhammapada is a set of verses that was originally preached by the Buddha himself, and this Dhammapada contains 423 verses in it, and these 423 verses are divided into 26 chapters. So why Dhammapada is important? You know, for Hindus we have Gita, and in Christianity we have Bible, and in Islam we have Quran. Same like that, to the Buddhist world we have Dhammapada. Now Dhammapada is not the only text that we have to learn Buddhism. There are many texts, but this is called as the Handbook of Buddhists. Why it is called as Handbook of Buddhists? If you went through 2-3 random pages and if you read on 2-3 verses, you can learn many life advices. You can learn many Dhamma facts about life. So that is why it is called the Handbook of Buddhists. So that is why it is widely used, and this is the most famous Buddhist text in this world. So as an example, if you turn to a random page and if you read a verse, you can find something very valuable. Let's go for that. So in 236th verse, the Buddha says, "Make an island for yourself. Strive hard and become wise. Get rid of impurities and cleanse of stain. You shall enter the celestial abode of the noble ones." It goes like that. So if you turn to another random page and if you read a verse, it goes like this. "The good shine even more afar, like the Himalayan mountain. But the wicked are unseen, like the arrows shot in the night." So if you turn to random pages and if you read, you can gain many life advices and many valuable Dhamma facts. So that is why we have to use this Dhammapada. If you are interested in using this Dhammapada, I will link down some links below that you can find Dhammapada and read it online also. And also there are some links that you can download the PDF file links down below. So this is the importance of Dhammapada, and that is why it is known as the most famous Buddhist books in this world. So that is the end of this little introduction video. So I hope you found something very valuable to your life. So practice Dhamma and practice good deeds. So I wish you all, may all of you be well and happy forever. Namo Buddhaya. Namo Buddhaya. Welcome and welcome back to another video. If there is one thing in common in this world that all living beings search for, that is the happiness. We all like to be happy. We all seek happiness in this world. If I ask from you, would you like to be happy in your life? What will be your answer? You will say, of course, I want to be happy in my life. I want this peaceful state. I need to be in that. That is your answer. That is the answer of all living beings. Buddha says that all living beings likes to be happy and they seek the happiness. If you really think about our life, we are in a never-ending journey of pursuing happiness. Let me tell that again. We are in a never-ending journey of pursuing happiness. That means we are pursuing happiness, we are chasing and we are seeking for happiness, but yet we have not found it. So, what is the reason for this not finding happiness? Why we don't find happiness in our life? We are seeking it, we are finding for it, but we don't find it. What is the reason? Well, the Buddha teaches us that we are finding or we are seeking this happiness from a source that the happiness does not exist. Because we are seeking happiness from external world. We are seeking happiness from these materialistic things. Well, when you seek happiness from materialistic things or external world, you get pleasure, but that is not happiness. Pleasure is something temporary and it gives you this instant gratification. But in happiness, the happiness is long-lasting and it gives you this happiness or the contentment about yourself. So that is why Buddha teaches us that you're finding the happiness from a source where the happiness does not exist. So the more you find it, the more you become frustrated. So, will we ever be able to find happiness in our life? The Buddha answers this question. He says, yes, you can find happiness in your life. How to do that? If you look closely to the first and the second verses of Dhammapada, Buddha says, if one with an impure mind speaks or acts, the suffering will follow him like a cart wheel following the ox. If with an impure mind one speaks or acts, the suffering will follow him. And in the next verse, Buddha says, if with a pure mind one speaks or acts, the happiness will follow him like a shadow following a man. So that means the happiness and the sadness entirely depends on the purity and the impurity of our mind. When our mind is pure, we can find the happiness. So, how can we find or how can we gain this purity in our mind in order to find the happiness? Well, Buddha teaches us there are a lot of things that you can do to make your mind pure. So today, I'm going to share with you a few things that can give you the happiness in your life, that you can find the happiness in your life. First thing, accepting the reality of life will give you the happiness. You know, Life is full of ups and downs. Sometimes you have good days, sometimes we have bad days, sometimes we have beautiful memories, sometimes we also have miserable memories. So life is not something that is going equally every day. Sometimes good, sometimes bad. When you realize this reality, you can face these situations successfully, right? It is not always this bad experience makes us frustrated. It is our reaction towards this bad experience makes us frustrated. Whenever you get a bad experience or a bad day or a bad situation, tough situation, difficult situation, you have two choices. Either you can focus on the pain and feel miserable about that situation, or you can focus on the lesson that bad situation teaches us and learn from it and start growing your life. So, if you accept the reality of life, it is not temporary. Sometimes the people around us are not in our control. We cannot control their reactions. We cannot control their opinions. So when you realize these situations, you can face those situations successfully. That is one thing, accepting reality of the life. Number 2, Buddha said, be generous. Practicing generosity is a major practice in Buddhism. Well, in Buddhism, the generosity is known as dana. In dana, Buddha says that you have to give without any expectations. We have to give and we have to dedicate towards others without expecting anything in return. That is one thing that we have to practice. Most of the time, we like to hold on to things or gather the things towards us. That is what people think. When you gather more, when you collect more things, you will get rich and you will gain happiness. But that does not give you the happiness. It will give you the pleasure, but it is temporary. So what we have to do, Buddha says, be generous, give, help others, dedicate a part of your life on behalf of others. When you do that, when you become more generous, let's say like this, you gave some foods to a poor person, let's say like that. When you see that person is having those foods and overcoming his hunger and making his life much better, you can be happy by seeing that. When you become happy like that, you feel happy about yourself, right? Nothing can give you that happiness. Like by eating a good food, by dressing a nice dress, you cannot gain that happiness. You don't feel happy about yourself, right? Let's say after hundred of years later, maybe 10 decades later, when you think about that incident, I gave this food to this poor person. When you remind that, you feel happy. Even then you feel happy. That means happiness is long-lasting. So Buddha says, be generous, help people, do something nice every day for a person. That is one thing we can do. And number 3, forgiving. Forgiving is one of the most important things that we can do to create happiness in our life. We have to forgive ourselves. Also, we have to forgive others too. Because forgiving, when you forgive, it doesn't mean that you are saying okay to others' mistakes. It's okay. No, you're not saying like that. When you forgive, you make your heart free. So when you forgive, it's not for that person, it is for you. And also we have to forgive for ourselves. There are so many mistakes that we all have done in the past. If you hold on to past, and if you make this present moment miserable, that will not give you the happiness. So what do we have to do? whatever the bad thing that we have done in the past, we have to have this ability to forgive ourselves and start all over again. We all have that ability, right? We all have that privilege to start our life again and make it a better one. Okay? So no one is perfect in this world. We all have done mistakes. One thing that we have to do is to forgive and start doing good things. So these are 5 things that we can do to create happiness in our life. And also, there is one happiness that is called the ultimate happiness in this world that the Buddha teaches us. That is called Nibbana or Nirvana. That is the enlightenment. When you realize about the reality of this life, and when you remove this desire or the craving that arises within your mind, then Buddha says that is the ultimate happiness. Simply, the Nibbana means Ragakkayo, Dosakkayo, Mohakkayo, Nibbana. That means removing of the desire, anger, and the delusion of the mind is called the enlightenment. So that is the highest level of happiness that we all can reach. So when you practice these practices, right, when you engage yourself in wholesome state, that will create you the happiness in the life. So practice these things and make your life a happier one. Namo Buddhaya. Namo Buddhaya. Welcome and welcome back to another video. Today, I want to talk about something really important for all of our lives, especially in these days. And that is the things that we should not speak with others, according to Buddha's teachings. Now, at first, you might be thinking, well, I'm not a Buddhist, so why should I care about these things? Here's the thing. These principles can be applied to anyone's life, regardless of their religion or belief system. So that is why these speeches are called 4 unwholesome speeches. That is what Buddha said about these speeches. 4 unwholesome speeches. So without any further ado, let's dive in. First of all, we have lying. Now Buddha said, stay away from lying. Now I know we all have said white lies here and there in all of our lives, right? But whether it is a white lie, whether it is a black lie, gray lie, or a red lie, no matter what the lie is, lying itself can be so harmful for all of our lives. Why is that? When you lie, it destroys your trust. When you lie, it destroys your character, right? So that is why it is very important to have trust between people. In our daily relationships between people, the most important component of a happy relationship is the trust. So that is why Buddha said, live a truthful life. And it is very important to have that transparency and honesty in our relationships. So the first thing that we have to stay away from is lying. And next we have divisive speech. What do you mean by divisive speech? Divisive speech is all about creating drama between people or creating conflicts between people using your words, right? It can be gossiping or it can be talking behind someone's back, right? I must say that when you talk these words or when you use this divisive speech, it is not a good thing for your life. And also it is not a good thing for other people's relationships. So Buddha said, do not use this divisive speech. Do not break the relationships between people using your words. Most of the time, we use the divisive speech out of jealousy or out of anger. So that is why it's very important to stay away from divisive speech. And the third one is, Buddha said, stay away from harsh speech. Now, when someone is calling you or when someone is treating you with rude words, how do you feel? Now, we all have been in this receiving end of such speeches, no? How did you feel? We felt sad, we felt depressed, we felt down about ourselves. So that is why Buddha said, do not use your words to put someone down, right? Do not use your words out of anger. This is all about criticizing and name calling and putting someone else down with your words, right? So Buddha said, stay away from harsh speech. And finally, Buddha said, stay away from idle chatter. What do you mean by idle chatter? Idle chatter is all about speaking meaningless or useless things, right? Now, that doesn't say that we cannot have a small chat or a fun talk with people. We can do that, but we have to know where our limit is in our speech, right? We have to set the boundaries in our speech, right? We have to know where our speech become unproductive, right? When you use these words, when you use your words in a meaningful way, you can create a positive life, and you can create a positive emotions or positive feelings in others' lives too, right? So these are the 4 unwholesome speeches that we have to stay away from, that our great teacher Supreme Buddha taught us according to the Buddha's teachings, right? So why all these things matter? Why these unwholesome speeches matter in our life? Well, Buddha said, the words that we speak can create either positive or negative karma in our life. Do not think lightly about this karma, right? You have to be very careful about the karma. So the intention behind your words really matters in your life. And that is why we have to use our words wisely, because it can make a huge impact in our lives as well as in others' lives too. So words that we speak are like a knife, right? You can use the knife to cut something useful, right? And also you can use the knife to kill someone else. So let's use our words to create a better life for ourselves and for others. So thank you for tuning in. I hope you got some food for thought for your life. So until next time, I wish you all, may all of you be well and happy, and may all of you live in peace forever. Namo Buddhaya.